Happy Hollandaise, people! As we are here at SeptumSin versus the World, are doing one of our festive videos. I don't know how many we're planning on doing this year. It might be we'll do another pickup, maybe closer to the holiday itself, and maybe we'll do our gift exchange at that point on top of the pickup to make it look nicer.
Good times.
So it's going to be some fun stuff. So I've got some upgrades, he's got some upgrades, and we got some regular stuff. We got a lot of cool stuff from Black Friday deals, and other deals and stuff.
Right. I'm holding action on all my Black Friday stuff until the next video, although there is stuff from the recent Criterion sale. So, yeah.
So I got my festive hat.
Alrighty. Yeah, I didn't think to dress up festively.
No, you can do that for the next video.
Yes, I could.
Well, I just happened to find the hat when I was taking down the stuff, and I've got the tree up here. So you know, we've done this all the time. We've got Lena up here, who is helping us out.
Yeah. And Elle hiding in the back, and
yep.
QB.
And QB.
QB. That evil both.
Wish. So we got a lot to go through. About 30-some items each. It's a lot. But that's how it is. Which is why you might see one of us get up periodically to make sure it's still recording, because sometimes it likes to shut off automatically, especially when we're filming in 4K.
Because technology.
So I'm going to start first with the only video game on the list.
Okay.
I think I talked about Dragon Quest III the last time.
Sounds right.
And that one was That one was a full price pickup, but I wanted that game so bad. I got right after I got back from Europe, and I just been playing it. It's awesome. This one I got because it was dirt cheap on the Amazon's Black Friday sale, and that's Sandland. It was the last thing that probably came out while Toriyama was still alive, so he actually probably got to play some of this because he loved video games. And he was big on vehicle stuff. I mean, you can even see the detail on the vehicle there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an action RPG where you're going through the desert. Sandland is one that I have read, the one manga volume that came out to the U.S. way back in the day. And it was kind of fun. I mean, it's not Dragon Ball, for those of you who love Dragon Ball. But it's not Dr. Slump either. It's kind of its own thing. It's about this demon prince, and he's kind of going through and exploring the desert. I can't remember a lot of it. I do have the manga still sitting on my shelf. But, you know, it may be good. If anything, I mean, I think it was like $20 for a full game. I mean, that's not bad for a PS5 game.
Okay.
And, you know, best wishes, Toriyama's family, with all of that. I mean, it's sad to see him pass.
Right. Well, I'm also kicking off with something that's not movies, but it's not video games. The first one, though, sounds like someone who could definitely score video games if she wanted to. At my library, there have been a couple of weeks in the last month where we've had a surprising number of AV donations, you know, movies, Blu-rays, what have you. And one day, someone brought in a bunch of CDs, and I am kicking myself for not jumping on some of them when I had the chance. But I did pick up two, and I've been listening to one. I listened to one before this one, and I have been really grooving to both of them. They're both new artists for my collection, but ones that I knew by name and reputation. Ooh. And this one is the self-titled disc by Lindsey Sterling, who is fairly well known as a violinist. The album contains, I think it's 12 regular cuts, 3, quote, orchestral versions, and then a remix and a cover of an Evanescence song. And it's really good. She's a violinist. She does vocals. Apparently she was on America's Got Talent, but I never watched that show. I've known the name, but I can't remember in what context I've known her name. But it's pretty good stuff, and for the price, well, you know, I could do a lot worse.
So, because I want to get up and periodically check to see if it's still recording, I'm going to hold off on the next one because that way I can pull off the stuff to show what I thinned. But this next one, I'm not thinning anything. Unfortunately, it's adding to the collection. But it's this year, and I have been a little bit better about not buying stuff sight unseen. But I also want to get sequels to stuff. And there's a part of me that's going, if a sequel's like 20 years later, do I really care? Actually, probably more like 30 years. But, actually, no, it is definitely 30 years. And that is Beetlejuice.
Oh. That's a cool looking
This is a pretty good one. This one actually went briefly on sale. So this went on a flash sale that was like a 5-hour flash sale on Amazon for $20. Which, yes, that's still expensive, but for a 4K Steelbook, not so expensive.
Especially brand new 4K Steelbook.
So, of course, you know, I just stuck this back in the thing here. But I can actually show it because I've watched it. It's not bad. It's not as good as the original, but I can't really, you know, say there. But it has fun. I mean, it is fun.
Okay.
They played that Cake in the Rain song all the way through. Because apparently Tim Burton really loves that song.
Okay.
And he wanted the whole song, and it's a long song.
What, MacArthur Park? It is a long song.
And you got to hear both versions. The original version, which was really old, and then you got to hear the one that most people are familiar with.
What, Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Really?
The one that Weird Al covered, which... You know, and they had that Cake in the Rain thing where they had the scene of the rain pouring down on the cake. It was, it's still a fun movie. It was really enjoyable. I do not regret having this. I do need to rewatch the original. That's one of the things there. My mother was over. We were looking for something to watch together. And my mother's taste is very different from me and Kim's. So it's sometimes hard, but this was one that we were able to get.
Okay.
A lot of old callbacks, and I like how creative they were about having the character that was acted by a person who was definitely problematic through Me Too type stuff. Actually, worse than that, because I believe it involved minors. He was in it, but he wasn't in it. They got to have paid him some money because his likeness was used, but it was funny how they got creatively around it. So if you have a chance, this is not a bad one.
Okay. And
especially if you like Jenna Ortega. She definitely kind of does a reprise of her Wednesday character a little bit for this one, but with a little bit more feeling, I guess you could say.
Okay. Alrighty.
I'm going to get my other stuff while you're doing yours. I'll check.
Okay. Make sure that it's working.
Exactly.
Okay. So, the other CD... this is a group that I've heard a lot about, and I know people who are huge fans. And I also know people who just scoff and go, you know. And I actually can't remember the name of their biggest hit because it's a really weird title. But I don't think I'd heard anything on this album. But it's an album by the group Panic at the Disco. And the album is called Welcome to Pretty Odd. And, Welcome to the Sound of Pretty Odd. Which Pretty Odd is one of the opening lyrics in the song, That Green Gentleman, Things Have Changed. Which is a fun video. I actually, my first playthrough, I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. It was the same thing. The same reaction I've generally had to this group was, I played it through, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then the more I played it, I'm like, this CD freaking rocks. It's like, it kind of reminds me of like a mashup between the Beatles, Chicago, and Carbon Leaf, if you can imagine that. It's really weird, and a little bit of Grateful Dead in there as well. It's really weird and interesting, and I love this album. And again, I can't remember if I paid $1 or $2 for each of these, but I definitely got my money's worth.
Panic at the Disco, at least, I'm familiar with at least the one song.
Yeah. You know which one I'm talking about. Do you remember the title?
No, but I know the song.
Yeah.
Could almost hum it, but I couldn't tell you what it's called.
Yeah.
You put me on the spot, so my mind just went, nope, not gonna give you that.
Yeah, now I'm trying to hum it and that won't work.
So these next two are kind of trying to be space savers. One's semi-space saver, but more of an upgrade to Blu-ray.
Okay.
The other one is kind of a both.
Okay.
And this is the Rosen Maiden collection.
Ah.
Sentai had on their sale, and they had a very good deal on it. And this is one of the ones I've watched all the way through.
I have not.
And it's kind of has a mixture of not really horror, but kind of horror, horror adjacent. You got these kind of like dolls. It's been so long since I've watched it. My mind is still kind of blanking on it, so I need to rewatch it, but that's all right. We've got Rosen Maiden. We've got Rosen Maiden Tromand. We got Rosen Maiden Overture, which is 2 episodes. And then we got Rosen Maiden Zurak Spulen.
Yes.
So, obviously a Japanese word.
Yes, obviously.
So that replaces my previous Rosen Maiden collection.
Okay.
And this has everything except for that third series I had that I'm not going to pronounce again.
Let me see. I'm going to say Zuruk Spulen.
But,
I probably butchered it too. But
this is a slight bit smaller than this.
Yeah.
But only a slight bit. But it's definitely smaller than both of those together. So it's not saving a lot of room, but saving a little. And then you're upgrading in quality of image and durability.
Right.
Which I wouldn't mind for a series. Sometimes it's good to have the Blu-ray upgrade, and if it's not super expensive. The other one was a little bit more expensive, but it still wasn't bad deal, but definitely you'll see is a better upgrade.
For the life of me, I can't remember what the status of that one in my collection is. I need to look into it.
Well,
I have not seen the show. It's on the list.
I mean, if you've got that first collection and you need the other one, let me know. At least I can get you that so you can complete it.
I'll check on that. So, from music to a movie about music. And it's about a group that I have nothing in my collection, or had. The only thing I had by them, I believe, was an extended scene in the movie Empire Records, which is a classic movie. But being a native Richmonder, obviously, I had to watch the movie This Is Galore. And when I saw it, I actually was like, this is a really good movie. It was flawed. It left out a few things I would have... Like they didn't really go into the period of time where Galore was banned from Richmond.
Oh, that would have been
I would have liked to have heard more about that. And there wasn't as much as I would have liked about Galore Bar, which I have been to, and I've enjoyed it immensely. I'm not a huge fan of their music, but I definitely enjoy their creativity and their, and what they've done for the Richmond music scene. And I was like, I need to have this in the collection. It's been sitting on the shelf for some time, but, I had an opportunity to present it, so here you go.
It is a good documentary.
It is.
And I wish that they'd been more into the Richmond area, but it's kind of cool when you see the milk bottle, when I've actually gone by the milk bottle several times. And... I mean, I never went to a Galore concert, I'm not going to lie. I never had the desire to.
Right.
Galore's music, it's kind of weird.
Kind of weird?
I like their earlier stuff. Okay. But I'm kind of the opposite of, say, Mo. Mo is like really into the more metal later stuff and not as much into the punky stuff. I'm more into the opposite. I'm more into the punk rock stuff at the beginning, and I don't really care as much for the metal-y stuff. I've never been into that whole scream into the microphone thing.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against anybody who does. I think that, hey, I'm glad people like that because it puts variety into the world.
Right.
I mean, shoot, I was playing with AI, and I have a metal song in that style where someone just screams "dog" into the microphone like over and over again. But you know, it's great though. I mean, Galore is one I wish I had seen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole Dickfish story was always interesting. So yeah. Well, I guess we'll get back to it. We got a lot to cover. So, I had to get this. I have been tempted for this set forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying, well, I got it all. I don't need it. Which is the Two Love Rue set, which has Two Love Rue Season 1 and 2, which they call Moto Two Love Rue. And then Season 3 and 4, which is the Into Darkness, which is about the assassin character in the series. But it's still missing the OVA, which I don't understand.
Yes, Lala's sisters are introduced in the OVA. It's important to the plot, and yet they've never had an American release.
They just appear at Season 2.
They've never had an American release, yes.
I mean, I've seen the OVA, but, you know.
Yeah, same here. In fact, that's all I've seen. Season 1 in the OVA. I've not gone beyond that.
I haven't gone beyond it either, but it's kind of cool. I mean, this is kind of a more suggestive cover, but it's a suggestive series.
Yeah. Well, the cover they originally did for Moto to Love Rue was even worse. So,
let's go over.
One of the big issues with Sentai is sometimes their covers are gorgeous, but they really like to do the fan service covers, and it's like,
So this is like the Into Darkness that I have. So I have those two.
Yeah.
And if it was all on Blu-ray, like a good example is Combat Butler. And there's the other one. What is that? What is the one with Familiar of Zero, whatever it was?
Yeah.
I've got all those in the Blu-ray, but it's not a huge space saver going from one to the other. Maybe the
Familiar of Zero was compared to what was originally out.
Yeah, but still, Blu-ray to Blu-ray.
You're talking about Hayate the Combat Butler?
Yeah.
That's a huge freaking space saver.
But again, it's good. I have a harder time upgrading from Blu-ray to Blu-ray just to save space.
Yeah.
But when I have half
from
of
the
it
DVD release, you know?
When I have half of it in DVD format, I mean, you know, the original releases, but of course I got on these as soon as I did because I was familiar with them originally. I still have not opened this one, but this is what he means by the kind of racy cover.
But you see, let me see these again.
Yeah.
Like, these, you could almost
drop them.
You could almost call that classy. At the very least, it would be... Two Love Rue is definitely a suggestive HE series, but you wouldn't necessarily get that from this cover. You would from this cover.
Yes, you would. Yes. Yes, you would indeed.
Okay. So, my next one, and now for something completely different.
Indeed.
In preparation somewhat, he just showed up Beetlejuice. A couple of mine are related to upcoming theatrical releases, or current or upcoming. And one that's coming up very soon is Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
This is a quick, just to show you. That is a space saver.
It is. So, I have the steelbook here of Sonic the Hedgehog, which, if I recall correctly, I believe he won for this role in the Versus Awards. Jim Carrey for
he did.
Supporting Actor. Sonic was a movie that had a controversial rollout, let's say.
He looked like Omni-Man in the back cover.
But when it finally comes out, it turned out to actually be a pretty darn good movie. It was a lot of fun.
It was.
And I cannot for the life of me remember exactly, but I think I may have gotten this one from a friend of the channel, Dane, I believe, may have been my source for this one. It, again, has been sitting for some time waiting to be presented. But now I figured this is a good time to go ahead and present it. It's a fun movie. If you were holding out because you thought it sucked, well, watch it and then make up your mind. It's actually pretty fun.
It's a solid film. Yeah. There are things I wish that it did better.
Yeah.
But because it really, to me, was Hop, but better done.
Well, partly because wasn't the same guy from Hop, James Marsden, wasn't he in both movies?
So, you know, and but it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
But
wait, no, James Marsden was the voice of Sonic. Ty Sheridan was the other one, right? Yeah. Okay.
See, and I'll admit, I liked Hop, and I still break it out most Easters. Mainly because George loved it like that, and it's kind of, and so I kind of carried that on for George since he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
But so I kind of like the movie because it did remind me of that. But I feel like a Sonic movie you could have made a Sonic movie just about Sonic.
Yeah.
And not about him trying to fit in the human world.
Yeah.
But still, not terrible.
Yeah.
And the design was good. So I can't really fault it on that.
All right. Have you seen, you probably not the third one, but have you seen the second one yet?
No.
So who knows? Maybe they doubled down on these.
Nor have I seen Knuckles, though I've heard Knuckles was not that good.
Ah.
And the third one's going to have Keanu Reeves as Shadow.
The Shadow.
So this next one I got because, well, one, it's an upgrade because both of these films I only have on DVD. I don't feel the need to bring them out because it really isn't a space saver because the box kind of makes it the same.
I was going to say, that's just 2 movies? Oh, okay.
But the second movie I have in this collection it was already kind of damaged when I got it. And it's kind of just fallen to the almost, I guess, the disc rottiness things that happen with some DVDs, especially when they've been worn so badly like that one. So it was no longer playing. So I'm like, but that's one of Kim's favorite films. Okay. So I said, okay, this came out. It's also region free, so I'm going to get it. And that is the Blair Witch Blu-ray collection, which has the 2 movies, the original 2, the Blair Witch Project and Blair Witch 2, which is okay because Blair Witch 3 or it was the third one because it continued on from the first. I've got it on Blu-ray already. So, but this is a pretty cool box.
That is a cool set.
And it is region free, so to play in any player, doesn't need to be region free player.
Okay.
And you see it just opens like this, and as you can see, that's why it doesn't have much room there. But you know, I mean, these are decent things. They got a decent number of special features on the backs.
I was like, what's with that?
That's because it was the back card. There you go.
Okay.
So this actually does fit into the box, which is good because it was taped to the back, but it has all the special features. I hate it when the cards won't fit in the box because those end cards just get lost after a while. Like I'm sure that Sonic one had an end card at one point and it just went.
And I have a place where I store those things, but it would be nice to be able to not have to worry about that.
But I'm glad I picked this up.
Yeah.
I really am.
That is a cool set.
It's definitely worthwhile.
Alrighty. And so, next up, predictably enough, is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Also in Steelbook, although this one's unopened. And this one featuring all new animated short with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. But this has one of those wraparound cards he was just talking about.
It almost looks like a Genesis game right there.
Yeah, well, I think that may be part of what they're going for. Yeah, it does look a lot like the old, And I have not yet seen this one, but I want to. And again, part of me is tempted. I'm probably not going to the theater for the third one, but I'm kind of thinking it would be fun to rewatch the first one, watch the second one, and be ready to go for the third one. Or I could wait till it's available and then watch them all together. But it would be nice to get all these watched. And like I said, like he was talking earlier, like I also have been trying really hard to cut back on buying things sight unseen. But, you know, it's a sequel to a movie that I really enjoyed. I think I bought this at Best Buy when it was, like, on deep discount. And, you know, before they stopped selling these altogether, which is so freaking
R.I.P.
stupid.
Best Buy Steelbook exclusives.
Yes. Like, I checked this Black Friday. They didn't even have stuff online.
I am so glad, though, that they did decide to do... Best Buy didn't, but they did do a Steelbook exclusive Aquaman 2. Yeah. Not because I like Aquaman 2. It's actually not that great a movie. But
I still need to see it.
I will say that it helped me complete, because I do have a complete DCU collection now on Steelbook.
Okay.
Every DCU movie is on Steelbook.
Okay. So far.
So, well, no, because it ended. Because
the DCEU
ended. Sorry.
But I think he's doing the DCU now.
So, I'm not going to bother with that with the James Gunn ones. I did go ahead and
Which is ironic, because they're probably going to be the good ones.
I know, but maybe it's just a weird thing, but I don't want to lock myself in like every Star Wars movie. I feel like I have to get the Steelbook.
Yeah.
But these, like, I went ahead and I purchased Joker 2 in Steelbook, and I've heard mixed things about that. But
I've heard mostly weak things.
I've heard there are people who really love it, and there are people who really hate it. But a lot of people who really hate it are the kind of people that I really don't trust the opinion of. So the people that use a certain word to describe things, and whenever you do that, it ruins my thought about your ability to criticize properly.
I've heard some pretty nuanced criticisms about it. Mostly I've heard criticisms about it, but you're right, a lot of people probably...
I want to get that Penguin
people,
one.
I think a lot of the people who really, really, really loved Joker loved it for reasons that the second movie supposedly undermines.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So.
And, I mean, I do want to get that Penguin Steelbook, but I just don't
I need
have
to
the
put
money
that
for
on.
that.
Yeah. That's a good series.
One that I did follow the rules. I saw the movie. I really liked it, but I didn't feel like it was like full price, but then they offered it for $6 on Amazon.
Okay.
So I went ahead and I got Imaginary.
Oh.
Now, Imaginary is a horror movie about this girl whose imaginary friend kind of comes back and is kind of coming after her daughter. And it's very creative, as you would hope that a film called Imaginary would be. And I do like artistically creative films. And this one did a good job of it. It was rightly scary in certain areas. Both me and Kim liked it. So I thought it was worth $6 to have it in the collection. I wanted it, but I wasn't going to pay $25 for it.
Right.
But I would pay $6 for it. And I do look forward to watching it again. So this is one that I really enjoyed, and I'm kind of glad to add it to the collection. And now I can go and check on things while you show yours.
Okay.
And I can pull out one that I'm thinning that's coming up soon.
So my next one is definitely a thinning of the collection. This is a major condensing on the shelf.
Uh-oh.
However, it is one that I swear, I could be wrong. I swear I ordered the American edition and Amazon sent me the European edition. And I don't have a region-free player. So I actually debated at first, but then I thought about it and I was like, I'm going to keep this anyway. So I already have some things that require a region-free player. I just need to get one, but they're expensive, so I haven't. But what I ordered, major space saver, is the complete 8-film Harry Potter collection. And as you can see, that does not take up a lot of room on the shelf.
Yeah.
I had all 8 movies. I think I had probably half of them on DVD and probably half of them on Blu-ray. So for one, this not only condenses it, but it kind of puts them into the same format and everything. The big reason why I decided this is worth keeping, I need this. The big reason I wanted to keep this is Year 1, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This actually has the proper title for the first movie. Yes, I love that.
It's the British release. I was trying to see if they had a region. It's probably underneath that sticker that you have there.
About whether it is region free or not.
Some of the more recent releases are.
Maybe.
But and it also depends. Sometimes they'll say it and do it, but more than likely because Warner Brothers released it, it'll be region locked.
Right. But again, I don't really particularly care because I'm going to need to get a region free player anyway. Maybe I should do it before they triple in price. I don't know.
You can usually get one. I mean, reasonable for what a Blu-ray player is.
Blu-ray players cost a fraction of what region-free players do. I got mine for about $30.
I mean, Yeah, I got mine for 100, but it's not too bad.
But at any rate, this has a lot of good stuff in it, but I don't think it has all the bonus features. Another thing that I had with the originals is I had a really great collector's edition of the first couple of movies, but my later movies mostly are pretty bare bones. So this does have some bonus features. I may end up keeping the first couple movies, so it's not a complete space saver, but it's still pretty good.
Well, my release ain't space saver at all, but
and it's a nice. Well, I mean, I would have loved to get that wizard set that came out that was really cool, but I wasn't paying for that thing. But yeah.
See, mine was cheap, but it was a little bit more elaborate than that one, but it was not the. But it wasn't that wizard chest, which was really cool, though.
That was cool, but.
So I went ahead and I got this because I wanted to show off a slight thinning.
Okay.
Which I went ahead and upgraded for Golden Time only because it was as cheap as it was.
Okay.
My opinions of it are on the Anime Anticlimax episode.
Yeah, check that out.
I thought it was okay. That's about the shorthand version.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it. But you'll find out why I didn't love it if you watch that.
Yes.
We go extensively into that.
That was about 3-4 months ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
Yeah, it was pretty
You just type in like Anime Anticlimax Golden Time or that, and it should come up. I mean, it's about this guy who's kind of lost his memory, and he goes into this college essentially, and runs into this mysterious rich girl who's obsessed with a person he just met and became friends with, and then he pursues that person later. It's interesting. It has a lot of very soap opera-y type turns and such. I had this originally here. Let me see. Does it have an English language track? It does. So, I mean, I upgrade at least enough to get the English language track getting this as well. I mean, it is definitely a space saver, just not a huge space saver.
I think I have the Blu-ray version of this release, so I probably don't have the English dub. But
so, but it's kind of cool to get both of them on this one disc thing. And yeah, it's, at least, I like having it upgraded Blu-ray. It's a decent enough series. It's one I don't mind the collection. It was cheap enough to where I was like, okay, fine. Fine.
Okay. All right. A collection that will also be a space saver for me, because I have roughly half of these movies already on DVD, that I debated because this I knew was a European release. And I also keep holding out the hope that they'll do this release on Criterion. But it was one of the donations at the library, and I could get it dirt cheap. And I was like, okay, this is going to be my space holder until Criterion does this. And that is the Stanley Kubrick Visionary Filmmaker Collection. Blu-ray set contains Lolita, 2001: A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, and Eyes Wide Shut. So basically the latter half of his career. And that is a pretty freaking cool set. And again, for just a couple of bucks, getting this on Blu-ray, even if it is region locked, I'm willing to have it on the shelf on the chance that I get one of those players,
And I'll admit, that looks much nicer than my versions of those movies, which are all those snapper cases.
Yeah. I do have, I'm looking at the disc per disc, there's also a bonus disc at the end. It's got lots of stuff on it. But yeah, I think I have every one of these, except I don't think I have Full Metal Jacket. And I have the snapper cases for Lolita, Barry Lyndon, and maybe one or more of the others.
There was like a Kubrick collection snapper case series, and I think I've got all of the ones that he has for there, except for like a select few that I upgraded. But yeah, I want a good Criterion collection of Kubrick, which I guess that's why I've never upgraded.
This also includes Stanley Kubrick: A Life in Pictures, which is a profile narrated by Tom Cruise, yay.
Woo.
And then there's a feature-length documentary called Oh Lucky Malcolm, which is about Malcolm McDowell. So that's kind of cool. I like that.
That is awesome. I need to upgrade myself one of these days. All right, so this one is one that I debated. I decided not to get the 4K because I wasn't going to pay $14.99 for the movie.
Oh, but it's a visually impressive movie.
But I went ahead and paid $9.99 for the Blu-ray, and that is Furiosa.
Okay.
But you probably get the Blu-ray anyway if the 4K didn't come with the Blu-ray because you have the 4K player. But
yeah,
because I watched this, and it has some visual effects, but to me, it didn't impress me like it did other people.
Really?
And I kind of got this to complete the Mad Max series. And maybe people were just in love with it. You know, strong female lead were in love with it for that. I don't know. It did have some cool characters, but oddly enough, she was my least impressive character.
Oh.
It was like the people around her, the colorful ones, like him. I mean,
Chris Hemsworth is very colorful.
Which I've got him like as one of my best supporting actor nominees because he was so great in that movie. And it's basically a story that takes place right before the Mad Max Fury Road, or the prequel, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean it sets up Furiosa, who of course was played by Charlize Theron in that one. And I thought people overhyped her in the movie, but she was good.
Well, I mean, and in a way, people really do need more of those iconic, strong female characters.
Yeah.
And in a way, and I am kind of glad that they did what they did with her. It wasn't she was always the strongest in the wasteland, but she was just put down by the patriarchy. But when she got self-confidence, then she was able to shine, which is the typical Disney way of doing it. It was, she worked like any other character, and she was weak, and she worked to be stronger. So the character works fine. I just found, I don't know why, I found the character boring. But, and I found the movie okay. As a Mad Max movie, I feel it was okay. And it's not because of Mad Max, because Mad Max is not my favorite thing about most Mad Max movies. Matter of fact, he's my least favorite thing in most Mad Max movies, except for Beyond Thunderdome. But I love Beyond Thunderdome. It's nostalgia.
Yeah.
The rest of it really is about the setting. And this one does pretty good with the setting. I do like how they work with Bullet Town and all of those. But still, I don't know. I wasn't as blown away by the stuff and went, I've got to have this in 4K as I thought when I was watching it on a 4K TV because they have it in first class airplane thing. So I watched it in that, and I just like, this kind of looks more CG-ish on this screen. So maybe having it on Blu-ray will make it look less like that. Or maybe a slight grit to it will actually improve it.
Maybe.
Sometimes that does it.
Maybe. What was I going to say? I can't remember. Anyway, next up, I'm going to put out an anime. Unfortunately, don't have too many today. But this was one that I actually thought when I ordered it. I think it was a Crunchyroll sale over the summer. And it was one of those things where I thought when I ordered it that I was converting a DVD, but then I couldn't find it in the collection, so it may have been a new purchase. And that's a Nozomi release of the show Sweet Blue Flowers. Which, as I understand, I believe is a Yuri romance. I believe.
The cover indicates it.
It certainly does. I'm not super familiar with this show, but I've mostly heard good things. It's got the little tagline on the back that says, "Do you remember your first love?" But again, I honestly thought I was just converting it. It's a happy accident if I was adding it to the collection. It was cheap, and I was like, and I think it was one of the things that was basically on clearance price. So I was like, I need to snap this up
before it disappears.
Exactly. So, yeah, glad to have it.
Yeah, I think my last purchase with the Sentai sale, which some of the stuff is obviously from that.
Right.
My last purchase order that's coming is actually under, most of those are clearance items.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I'll try this out for like the really cheap price that they offered for
Right.
it. So this one's a definite upgrade for me because I just have a plain version of this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one I've always liked, and I wanted to get the steelbook of this, but I didn't want to pay the price for it. But they did offer this at $10, and that was Schwarzenegger and the Running Man.
Wow.
This is actually one of my favorite
Aren't they
sci-fi
remaking
films. They have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember much about the remake, and I don't really care because it's a remake. This one was... I thought this was a good adaptation. I mean, okay, it's not a good adaptation to the book because it does not really fully, but I thought this was a good movie. I guess much in the way that a lot of people think that the Kubrick Signing is a really good movie, but maybe not
I
necessarily.
thought that was entertaining. But I think King is involved with the remake. That's one reason I'm curious.
So I did really like this. This is a classic for me. It was a staple growing up, and I felt like having the 4K treatment definitely is a good thing. I'll be glad to upgrade from my basic DVD collection.
Okay.
Well, not collection. My basic DVD movie is. Yeah. So yeah. So Running Man.
Okay. So I'm getting ready to run into a theme here. A lengthy theme. As I said, I didn't bring any of my Black Friday pickups today. I'm not counting any of the Criterion sale with Black Friday because, well, I got it before those sales really got underway. I've already presented the ones I picked up on site at Barnes & Noble, but there were two I ordered on Amazon about a week later. And one of them, I have a rule that I instituted when I started doing the sales all the time, and that was, originally it was I'll get a Charles Chaplin film. But then I ran out of those. And so I very quickly went through Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd. Now I'm like, I need to get a silent era film, preferably silent film, but a silent era film. And so the one I ordered on Amazon that arrived very quickly was a movie from 1929, a German film called Pandora's Box. And this has a pretty good number of special features. It's a G.W. Pabst film.
Cool.
I'm not positive. It says silent, but it also... Okay, it does say silent. Okay. It did not say that on the website, so that made me wonder. So, it is... it's also got a couple of documentaries about the film. Lulu in Berlin and Louise Brooks Looking for Lulu. It's got some other fun stuff in it too. But this is a very old movie that supposedly was quite controversial on release. This was a pre-code movie, in other words. And I'm just very curious about it. And again, it checked off that box of a silent era Criterion purchase. And glad to have it.
Well, I'm moving into Shout Factory pickups.
Okay.
Not all, but definitely it seems like they all lined up like that.
Okay.
So the first one is one I wanted on the Blu-ray, but sold out entirely. But on the DVD, it was exceptionally cheap, and I really wanted this to add because I've heard about it, but I've never seen this movie.
Okay.
And this is the season for it. Because, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, and there you go. Yes, there is. And I've always wanted to see this one.
Yeah.
And, it's an older one. You got Richard Thomas... Edward Asner. Wow. Never haven't heard him like that. And Charles Bronson in it. So you got some pretty cool names. That's a cast. And it's one that's based off of an old 1800s newspaper story type thing. About basically proving to this girl, yes, there is a Santa Claus. Tracking the letter and stuff like that. And I do want to see this. Matter of fact, there are about 3 Christmas films in my collection I have not seen, and I want to watch them before the season ends. The clock is a-ticking, so I need to get on that. And this is one I'm going to get on because it is one I really did want to check out and see. So I'm kind of glad about it. You seen this one yet?
I have not.
So, I've heard a lot about it.
Right.
And so it's one of those when you hear it in the common lexicon, you want to at least say you've seen it.
Actually, am I remembering correctly that that was name checked by Weird Al in The Night Santa Went Crazy?
Yes. It's actually been also name checked in Mystery Science Theater as well. So I'm going to take these away. Okay. And that way I has an excuse to check that while you're doing yours.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I'm going to continue on with Criterion. With some recent releases, I think the remainder of the films in this box are very recent Criterion releases, and the first two are ones that I did own on DVD, and these are conversions, upgrades from DVD to Criterion Blu-ray. And this one is especially an upgrade because the DVD I have is one of those freaking flippers. And that is the movie that arguably put Tom Cruise on the map, Risky Business.
I need to get that.
Which, when I found out Criterion was doing it, I was like, holy shit, they're doing Risky Business? And they actually did go all in on the bonus features. That's pretty impressive there. But it's a 1983 film featuring a much younger Tom Cruise, long before we all knew how crazy he was. You've also got Rebecca De Mornay in there. You've got, I didn't realize Tangerine Dream did the music. Okay.
Oh, they got their hands on a lot of things.
So there you go. I saw they were releasing that, and I'm like, yes, please. So that was a conversion. And it doesn't save a huge amount of space, except that it's shorter, which is nice. But this is going to be a hell of a lot more durable than one of those friggin' flipper DVDs. Yeah, and so many more bonus features, too.
Well, speaking of something bonusy, this is also dirt. Most of these were dirt cheap on this thing. The thing that cost me the most was not because of the individual prices, because I had to buy 4 items together.
Okay.
But this one is just kind of a cool thing.
Oh.
The Marx Brothers TV collection.
Okay.
Which has... I'm a real big Marx Brothers fan. I've actually been very much debating trying to go ahead and try and get the Blu-ray versions of the films in that Blu-ray set I have.
Right.
But I like that set. It's sort of like how I want to replace a lot of those...
Screen collection,
not
whatever it was.
the Silver Screen collection I upgraded, because they did re-release that on
the
Blu-ray.
other one.
Because I think they've released they've released a lot of those on Blu-ray, but I don't think they released all of them. And I was always glad because it took them so long before they did a good, proper physical release. And this is kind of cool. You have a couple of the You Bet Your Life, but most of them are just like all the TV appearances that they made over the years. A lot of color appearances and such. So I do want to check this out. Like I said, as a big Marx Brothers fan, it is kind of cool to see them, or see more from them, I guess you could say.
That's kind of cool. Also from back in the day, this is not as old as Pandora's Box, but older than Risky Business. This kind of falls in between. But this is also a conversion, a movie that I've had for many years on DVD, and now I have upgraded. I was real excited to learn that they were going to put out Franco Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet. And so, of course, I upgraded it myself. Surprisingly few special features on that one.
Is that the one with Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, this is the one from 1968 with Olivia Hussey as Juliet. And you've also got who is the other big name in it? Was it Leonard Whiting? There was a couple more big names, but this one also, I remember my parents actually had a record of this that was like music and dialogue from the film.
Wow.
They were big fans of this version. And my Shakespeare professor was also, he hated the Leo DiCaprio one.
So they showed me that in high school.
It, but he loved this one. It's shockingly few special features, but there are a few. But even so, this is still a definite upgrade from what I had before. And I was very excited to pick that up.
See, I blame you for this one. This was an Amazon pickup.
Okay.
But when you brought up Brewster's Millions, like, I don't have that. I'll look it up. And they did offer it on the Shout Factory sale for about probably what you got for paid for it. But I also saw this for very cheap. And I was like, you know what? But I get multiple ones, and I didn't have a single one of these.
Yeah.
Which is a Richard Pryor 4-movie collection. And, sometimes it's kind of cool because I've never seen any of these.
I've never seen 3 of them.
I've heard of Bustin' Loose.
I mean, I've heard of most of these.
So, Which Way Is Up,
Yeah.
Bustin' Loose, Brewster's Million, and Car Wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, I really like Richard Pryor.
Right.
His comedy was definitely, you could tell where Eddie Murphy got a lot of his stuff from. It would be him and Red Fox, who were his mentors.
Yeah.
This is going to be something fun to look through because I've never seen Brewster's Million. Actually, I haven't seen any of these. So it's going to be a fun watch through.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, my first real exposure to him was the ones that he was doing with Gene Wilder, which they have some re-releases of those as well coming out as well. I think there's a Blu-ray set with those
very
4
cool
ones. So it's kind of cool to have that.
See, he would be a cool subject for like a Criterion collection, But I grew up with Brewster's Millions and See No Evil, Hear No Evil, and most of the others I didn't see until much later.
My grandfather had that latter one on a tape that was taped off a TV. So I'd always, when I was over here, actually in this basement, the TV was right there.
Okay.
And I would lay back on the couch, not this couch, different couch, and watch that. I even actually have the VCR in the other room.
Very
that I
cool.
watched on. Still works.
All right. So a movie from almost the same time period as Romeo and Juliet, actually kind of in between Romeo and Juliet and some of the earlier Richard Pryor movies, is a movie that also no doubt influenced Eddie Murphy a little bit. And when Criterion announced this one, I was like, holy shit. Shaft, the old Richard Roundtree blaxploitation classic with the Oscar-winning, I believe, song by Isaac Hayes. This not only includes Shaft, it includes the sequel, Shaft's Big Score.
Oh, cool.
And it includes actually a pretty good number of bonus features. So this is a pretty awesome pickup. I actually did not have these movies in my collection. It's a little disappointing to me that they did not include Sam Jackson's remake. That would have been kind of a fun bonus feature. But still, very happy to have that. This and Risky Business are in the category of movies of, I love when Criterion puts out popular films. Yes. It shows that they're not just a bunch of stuffy, I'm looking forward to rewatching that one.
So one I got, I didn't think I was getting this set from them. I just thought I was getting a pared down set because it was only like, I want to say it was only like $20-something, and which was something I watched on. I used to watch this on Comedy Central a lot, and that is Absolutely Fabulous, which I thought was a pared down set, but no, this is the more expensive one. It's the DVD set.
It's a cool looking set,
and I like that it has a little purse look to it, and of course this is I want to say it's French and Saunders originally there, but French and Saunders, which of course I remember always the thing with like French and Saunders like that over and over again. I used to watch this one and Benny Hill back to back a lot in the 90s when they were running in the Comedy Central in the late 90s. So it's really cool to have this set. I am glad to finally get it in the collection. They were just asking a lot of money for this thing.
I have never seen it.
It's funny. It is.
I mean, I'm familiar vaguely. I think I saw the commercials, but
I don't know how many episodes, but 1,235 minutes. So definitely $20 worth, I would think.
I was going to say 1,235 episodes? That's longer than I thought.
Minutes.
Okay, so my next one is one example of what we've complained about before on the channel, which is when a film's first release is through Criterion. I really don't prefer that, but I do like that they're putting out stuff that so many things aren't getting released nowadays that it's almost a relief when anyone puts it out. This was a movie that really, really, really got a lot of buzz from the art house circuit. It was up for Oscars. The critics loved it. So obviously I dreaded watching it, especially because it's from the director of The Square, which was a really weird movie. To my astonishment, I actually really genuinely enjoyed this. It is weird and artsy as hell, but I enjoyed it. And that's Ruben Östlund's Triangle of Sadness, which is I want to say, I cannot remember the full language. Like, it takes place primarily on a cruise ship and on an island after they crash. And I want to say it's a mixture of English and Swedish, but I could be remembering that wrong. It does not have a huge number of special features. Again, it's a brand new release. But it's got a fair number for a special edition release. This is a great release. This is a weird ass movie, but I liked it and I was very happy to get hold of it.
Didn't you give that to give me a copy of that one year?
I think you did buy it. Didn't you buy it to do research for the Versus Awards or something?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
But this is the one that cost me the most. And it was the reason I made my order, because really and truly I could have done without most of those. Mm-hmm. But this is the reason why, because they finally discounted these to a decent enough price. Okay. This is part of my childhood. Okay. Though, yes, I spent part of my young childhood, up until like age 4 to 5-ish, with a black and white TV and only 3 channels. Mm-hmm. But my father upgraded the TV to a color TV and got a satellite dish, because back in those days, you could get a lot of those premium channels without paying for them because you could sneak on the satellite. And I got to watch a lot of Nickelodeon. And this show was on Nickelodeon all the time. And that's the Dennis the Menace live-action TV series. All 4. It cost me still a bit. Because the first season was only $10, but the others were $20 each. Now, that might still seem a little bit steep, but when you think about the number of episodes per season, because we're not talking like 12-episode seasons. Okay, season 1, 32 episodes. Okay, not a bad deal for $10. Season 2, 1960, 1961, by the way, 38 episodes. Season 3, 38 episodes. And the final season, season 4, another 38 episodes. Yeah. So, for the price I paid, and it was an expensive price. I mean, 20, 40, 60, about $70. But I'm getting a lot of episodes for that. Yeah. And this was a good series. I did really like this kid as Dennis. There were 2 Mr. Wilsons because the other one passed away. And I think you can see the 2 right here. You can see the one. This is the old one. This is the newer one. Yeah. And it's kind of sad.
Wasn't he played by Walter Matthau in the movie?
Yes.
Yes, I remember enjoying that when I was younger.
But that was one that I saw a lot of as a kid. I saw some of the cartoon, which looked more, of course, like the comics because they could draw it like that. But still, great 60s series. I will probably be doing a nostalgia dive into it in the future.
Good times. One that may be an interesting sort of nostalgia dive for some people, and also a horrifying piece of propaganda, jingoistic propaganda to other people. Mostly I have these are mostly from the Criterion sales of probably the last 3 or 4 sales. But I do have a couple of used Criterion ones mixed in that I believe we got from Dane. I know I ordered some stuff from him, and I think this was one of them. A movie that may, if certain people have their wish, become lost media. So good to have in the collection. And that is Michael Moore's Bowling for Columbine. This is a conversion. I had it originally on DVD, but now it's on Blu-ray with a lot of bonus features. This is a very well worth watching documentary.
Gosh. Wouldn't it be hilarious if you did the theme month for January and did a Michael Moore month.
Don't tempt me. I am tempted.
You know what's weird is
I have an unwatched copy of Sicko as well.
I actually would be curious to see Dave's reaction to
Yes.
Roger and Me, because actually that the conservative movement has changed to a point where Roger and Me actually might appeal to them.
Right.
Whereas Bowling for Columbine also in pieces. Because Bowling for Columbine, I think, was one of his best works.
It is. It's one of his less propagandist films, except for the part where he harasses Charlton Heston. That gets a little... But it's a good movie. It is entertaining, but it also makes very sharp points. But again, this is a really great edition. It's a nice collector's edition. It was a conversion to a better format, and it takes up a little less space. So, happy to have it.
Yeah, I actually taken some of the more propagandistic ones and they put it back in my Like there was the one about the Jim Carrey election thing, which was boring. And then there was the one about... then there was the one, Capitalism Loves... that one. That was too propagandistic.
I enjoyed it, though.
But Sicko was on the edge of it. But...
Sicko, I thought, was one of the more even-handed ones compared to some of the others.
So...
Okay.
Now we're going back to the Right Stuff sale. Not Right Stuff, sorry.
R.I.P. Right Stuff.
But Crunchyroll sale.
Yeah.
And I got 2 movies really cheap. And I think I went ahead and I think I presented one of them already. Maybe. No, I have not presented either. And these were like, I think one of them was $1, one of them was $3. So I said, you know what? This is kind of, I'll buy it sight unseen for that.
Yeah.
And the first one is a movie called Let Me Out. Which is, it says here, Moo Young is a film student who's seen every movie you haven't. And thinks your favorite director is a hack. He's happy to churn out criticism until a famous indie filmmaker funds his unproduced zombie masterpiece and gives the amateur auteur the chance to prove he's the next big thing in Korean cinema. On the set, melodrama quickly bleeds out of the script onto the shoot. Moo Young's undead are underwhelming. The star is a total diva. The cast and crew are one step away from mutiny, including the actress who's caught his eye. If he's not careful, chasing after his dream could turn his life into a total nightmare.
Nice.
I mean, this is, I think, the $3 one. Is it still going?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a $3 one, and I love the premise of it. And for a movie collector and sometimes critic, it does fit me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I'm not as pretentious as this guy, but we know people who are. So this sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. This could be a potential Inside Movies Galore thing.
Sounds fun.
All right.
All right. So the next one is one that is supposedly, if I remember correctly, based on actual events. And it's a Peter Weir film that is one of his better known films, but one I've never seen. And so when I learned Criterion was doing it, I was like, okay, I'm going to have add this to the collection. It's a 1975 film called Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Ooh, picnic.
And that one has a lot of good bonus features too. But this guy, he's the guy that did Gallipoli, Dead Poets Society. He's done some really good stuff. I've heard very good things about this one. From what I understand, this one is heavy.
But does the hanging rock fall on them?
We don't know. Did people disappear? We don't know what happened. So I don't know. But I believe it's actually set in Weir's native Australia. But yeah, it's set in Australia. I'm very curious about this. I've been wanting to see it for years, and like I said, when Criterion put it out, I was like, yeah, I gotta get that.
So, man, I've got some sight unseen stuff here. Oh well.
Yeah, I got a few of them.
But this one was like $5 on Amazon's Black Friday sale.
Okay.
But it's so absurd, I had to go ahead and get. It may be one that just automatically gets shelved, but for $5, I'm not going to be too sad.
Okay.
And that is Killer Bears.
Night of the Killer Bears.
Night of the Killer Bears.
Woo!
You know, Ted meets Terrifier. After not seeing each other for a long time, 5 teenage friends escape their boring lives by going on a vacation together, staying at a quiet resort isolated from the city. They all party and have a good time until things take a dark turn. When it's revealed, each of them have hidden secrets, and beknownst to the group, there's someone observing them. Yes. This sounds a little bit less idiotic, but you never know. I mean, it does have a little bear silhouette there with the thing. I want to see a teddy bear killing everybody. I do. Now, actually, though, tell you the truth, there are some that could be really good. There was a slasher film that Dane had that wanted to do more than one, but I've only heard of the one film, which was Pandemonium. It's about a guy who wears a big panda, basically, head and goes around and slaughtering people. And that was actually really good. So, if that could be really good, this probably could be.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know. So, my next one, a couple of years ago, the great British actor Bill Nighy, not to be confused with the science guy, was up for an Oscar for a movie I had never heard of hitherto called Living. And it turns out, Living, it was a good movie, by the way. I saw it, and it was very good, and his performance was great. It turns out Living was written by Kazuo Ishiguro, the very famed novelist, and it's an adaptation of Akira Kurosawa's Ikiru.
Oh.
And this is one I had never seen before, but I've known by name and reputation. This is considered one of Kurosawa's great films.
I haven't seen it in years.
But think about that pedigree there. Living needs to get a Criterion release, and I need to see it. I would have liked to have seen that paired with this in like a nice little collection. But I intended to watch this while Living was still fresh in my brain. That didn't happen.
Best laid plans.
I have been very sluggish in adding the Kurosawa films to my collection because I've been waiting for Criterion to do a Kurosawa collection. I feel like they're going to. I mean, it baffles me that they haven't. So I haven't gotten all of his movies yet. But this was one that I was like, okay, I really want to see this now. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the collection. It does have a crap ton of bonus features. I'm really excited to revisit this story. One of these days, we'll get that Criterion release of Living. One of these days, we'll get that Criterion Kurosawa collection. But in the meantime, this will be a nice little placeholder.
So, this one's the other one. This is the dollar one.
Okay.
That I got from Crunchyroll. And that is The Happy Life.
Okay.
So, this one also looks... It kind of reminds me of Kids on the Slope, the way it looks, doesn't it?
Actually, I think this was one I considered. Yeah.
The members of Active Volcano once burned with a passion for the rock and roll life. But with the graduation and responsibilities of adulthood, the college bandmates eventually drifted apart. Now in their 40s, none of their lives have gone according to plan. Lead guitarist Ki Young receives an allowance from his wife and attitude from his teenage daughter. Underemployed bass guitarist Sung Wook works day and night to finance his overachieving wife's academic goals and their 2 young sons. And drummer Hyuk So, I'm probably mispronouncing these, turns to a used car dealership to provide for his wife and children.
A used car dealership?
Car.
Okay. Carl!
Who have relocated to Canada without him. So, and they reconnect, and I guess they try to recapture that old glory again, which makes sense because they do not look like spring chickens here. Especially the drummer there. Right. But you can see that right there. It looks like fun. A lot of Korean cinema does get up there, and I kind of like having more of it in my collection, and I watched none of it. I think the last Korean piece I watched was their adaptation of Honey and Clover. But these sound like good pieces, and I do want to see more.
Well, returning for a moment to the world of G.W. Pabst, we have a movie that I believe I got from you, if I remember correctly.
Pabst? Ooh,
Kameradschaft. 1931 movie in German and French. Hey, Rosie. I don't know much about this, but, I wasn't going to turn down an opportunity to grab it. And look forward to getting to it eventually. May have to pair it with Pandora's Box. Do a little Pabst marathon or some such thing.
So, this is one that I saw. It was cheap on Amazon. And I said, you know what? I've never seen any of the stuff except for the cartoon. Mm-hmm. And I want to go ahead and add to the collection that I have already, because I got all the movies. I got the cartoon. I got the movie for the cartoon. Okay. So why not add to it with the Toxic Avenger musical?
Ah.
I mean, I've never actually seen it, but I'm sure it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like fun. They need to put the Thanksgiving musical on a disc. I've listened to it now, but there's still no video of the whole thing. But it'll be interesting. But yes, I don't know what else to say about it. I've only seen the first part of the first Toxic Avenger movie, and the rest of it was the cartoon when I saw that when I was a kid. So, and I've got the collection sitting there. I just don't feel like watching it. Trauma I have to be in a right mood for, because I'm not as bad about gore as you are, but their gore effects do give me kind of the feeling. And so that does bother me a little bit. So, I don't know. I do need to just get in and do that. One day maybe. I've been hoping that Inside Movies Galore does them, so that we can actually... So I have a good excuse to break open that set and do it. I will be breaking open the set to separate out the animated series from it, because they just basically do a wraparound packaging, plastic-wise, to push those together. Okay. But still kind of cool to have that to add to the collection.
Good times. So, my next up is one of those silent era films from one of the so-called or supposed silent greats. And specifically, it's one of the Harold Lloyd movies. 1927 movie called The Kid Brother, which does include a couple... Well, this includes a lot of stuff. Includes 2 early Lloyd shorts, Over the Fence from 1917, and that's him from 1918. But overall, there's a crap load of bonus features on that one. I would really like if Criterion would step up their game and release more from Lloyd, Chaplin, and Keaton. But especially Keaton, they've got very few of his. But I need to give this a go. He was actually the one of the 3 I'm the least familiar with. But I look forward to watching this one of these days. And I'm sure it's a lot of fun.
So one, mainly because you've hinted at bringing it up eventually for Anime Anticlimax, I went ahead and got the collection of from Sentai because it was on sale. So, and that was, well, not this one. The next one will be, which...
This one,
I'll do this one next. Okay. Which is Akame ga Kill, which is both parts in one. Which it's not a big thing. I thought maybe I was replacing it. No, I haven't.
Takes up a lot less space than mine, but I have the fancy ones.
So this one has all 24 episodes. Does have English audio. So when I do watch it, I can watch it in the way that I can easily understand it, and that's good. So I'm ready. I'm ready. If you put that forward, I'm ready to tackle it.
Okay. It was mentioned a few times in our Cabaneri discussion.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I haven't really bothered with it, and I think you've talked about it on this pickup show before, so I'm not going to...
It's a fun one.
Oh, I need to bring that in. Oh, I'll bring that in next time.
And now for something completely different. A director who is very, very well known. Actually, this looks like it's a used copy. I might have gotten this one from Dane. I don't know. A director who's very, 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 very well known for being very, 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 very artsy is the director of The Thin Red Line and The New World, Terrence Malick. For many years, I have heard of the movie that apparently is his main claim to fame, but I don't believe I've ever seen it. And that is the movie Days of Heaven. It's a 1978 film at a shockingly svelte 94 minutes. I thought it was longer than that. It supposedly is a really good movie. He, I believe, went many years after this before releasing his next film. Heard good things, want to see it, never gotten around to it. This one, decent number of bonus features. They could have done better with that, but not too bad. As you can probably tell from the format, this is one of the older Criterion releases I've put forward today, but yeah. Glad to finally have it in the collection.
So now I'm going to get to this one.
Yeah.
Which is Ajin, I think it is. Or Ajin.
Ajin, I guess?
Demi-Human.
Ajin.
This is the OAD collection.
Okay.
I only got this because I realized it was sitting there. And then I was like, wait, I have the other two collections in their premium releases. Mm-hmm. This one doesn't get a one, but it's also like I think 2 episodes long, so I doubt it's going to get 3 episodes long.
Oh, it's an OVA release.
It's an OAD. It's an online one, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about this series. It's one that I had gotten cheaply on there. Basically, probably similar to how you got a guy killed, which was. Hey, these premium editions are cheap here.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, that one I knew by name and slightly by reputation. This one I knew nothing about.
See, this one I don't know much about other than I had the first 2 in premium, so, you know. But I am kind of glad to have it. I didn't realize that it was out. I've actually been keeping up less and less with some of these.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I do a show talking about what anime is released every week. But, I've stopped caring as much.
Yeah.
Which I guess is good for my wallet. I'm like, if you're going to come back to the well 20 years later or something like that, good for you. But I don't feel the need to come back with you necessarily. What are you going to do for me to make me come back with you to that well? Because, it's too much, I think. Too much media. I'm like, I already got more media than I can ever watch in my lifetime. I know I'm probably not going to see everything I haven't watched in my collection. So, yeah, it's about time to get to that.
Yeah. And actually, that's one of the issues with the Criterion collections. I love collecting them because of all the stuff that comes with the movies. But actually making the time to go through all that stuff is like...
This is why you guys need to subscribe.
Yes.
And like, and then talk about how much you want to contribute to a Patreon.
Yeah.
And then Jake and I can both quit our jobs.
Woo!
We can actually do exclusively SeptumSin versus the World content, and we can spend most of our time just watching our collections, do thorough reviews. Matter of fact, if we were in that like million subscriber thing and we're making like 6 figures each off of this thing, we could definitely have the time
trash collection
to do that. Yeah, I mean, shoot. I mean, Jake himself. I'll tell you what. If you guys make it possible for us to make at least 6 figures each a year off of this channel, Jake will start doing a Criterion movie review series where he'll watch each of his Criterion ones, not at once, but, and then go through, give a thorough review of it.
I did do that, but it was way too time consuming. If you feel like it, dig up the, 6 videos I ended up putting out, but I would like to do that. But
if you were making 6 figures and didn't have to work a job, you could do that.
And by the way, on the chance any of my coworkers or employers who are watching that, was not meaning that I'm trying to quit my job. But it would be great to have time to create and watch stuff and all that stuff.
Shoot, most of them, if they were making 6 figures doing something like this, they quit too. So.
Right. Give me more time for writing too. So next up, one that I really do want to look at the bonus features because I genuinely really enjoyed this movie. One that I've already presented on the channel was the Criterion release of Matewan, and I talked about how excited I was that they did Matewan. John Sayles is a director who most people consider to be uneven. I'm still waiting to see Silver City get a Criterion release because I love that one. But one that did recently get a release that I was really excited about was his movie Lone Star. Lone Star is from 1996, and it co-stars Chris Cooper, who starred in Matewan, but it also co-stars Chris Christopherson, Frances McDormand, Elizabeth Pena. Got some good folks in there. As you could probably guess, it takes place in Texas. It's a border town story, basically. And it has a depressingly small number of bonus features, but that would make it much easier if I were to do one of those videos. Yeah. But again, I think if I'm remembering correctly, my DVD copy of this is in one of those stupid flipper cases. So this is absolutely an upgrade in every way. So very happy there.
Out of the three, it's kind of sad. My Silver City one is like a Region 2 release. Oh. And I don't have that one at all. So it's kind of interesting. So this one's one from the Crunchyroll. Well, it wasn't a sale. I just got it because it came out and I want to complete this.
Right.
Because I stopped watching the series after season 1 because I was like, I'll wait till it's done.
Okay.
And then I had to wait and wait and wait. And that's Attack on Titan. Which finally, the final chapters, the final chapter of the final chapters has released.
Yay.
So, supposedly this ends it. So maybe I'll finally get in and watch it. This one kind of had a weird convoluted thing. Because then it had, I think a season 3 was supposed to be the final. And then they said, oh, wait, no, we're going to do the final chapters now. Which they did 2 parts. It's like, oh, maybe that's done. Nope, we got another part. So we'll see. Maybe they'll come up and say, oh, we got another part now on top of that. I don't know. But from what I've heard, it's ended from this. And Attack on Titan, for those of you who don't know, it's about these people living in these walled cities because these kind of colossal zombies are coming in and attacking the city and destroying things. And they go around with like Spider-Man style web slinging stuff, and they go and they try to kill them. But it's a very high body count series. Unless you're talking about the one that he saw where the Titans actually steal their lunches instead.
Well, I've never seen Junior High, but I've read much of the manga. Yeah. And actually, I was just thinking, you were talking about they're going to find a way to continue the series. So what they're going to do is they're going to do like an OVA special where Eren wakes up and it revealed that the entire series is an extended nightmare that he's been having, and the world of Junior High is the actual world.
Actually, they could take a serious turn about it and just say that he's a kid that was bullied and that he wakes up and it's the aftermath of a school shooting, which would be very dark ending.
Yes.
And actually, sadly, I could see Eren as the type, but he was messed up in the head.
Yeah.
But that would be a freaky one.
You know what I found out today? I found out Demon Slayer has the equivalent manga. Huh? I think they call it Kimetsu Academy.
It wouldn't
I'm going to have to read this. The equivalent to Attack Junior High, I mean. So my next one is also a conversion. And this is a major upgrade because my original DVD was not only bare bones, it was actually a pretty poor quality collection. And that is an old film, My Man Godfrey, 1936. If I remember correctly, won a crap ton of Oscars. I think I'm remembering correctly. This was the big winner that year. And it was the first film to get Oscar nominations in all 4 acting categories. And, it's got a few bonus features. Yeah. It's a pretty good release. But again, I had such a horrid release on DVD. This is a major upgrade. So, very happy to have done that. It's a fun movie. I have seen it.
I'm doing one myself, Upgrade and Space Saver.
Okay.
Which is the Medaka box, which I admit it didn't cost that much. If it did, I probably wouldn't have done it. Because again, I've got this as the original one. I still haven't opened these.
Just like with Golden Time, I have it on Blu-ray, but I have the 2-part release.
So, this one has the English audio. This one also has the English audio, so it's really not even that. It's really more just a Space Saver and a Blu-ray up conversion because it was cheap. But that's okay because I've heard some decent things about it, and I am kind of glad to have it in a more form-fitting.
And there was that one fighting game where Medica was the main character in it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one, though. I haven't seen the show. Okay. Next one is another conversion, another upgrade/conversion. I've had this one on DVD for years, and I keep going back and forth on getting it, but I really wanted it, especially because I love the cover art, actually. And that is Alexander Payne's Election, which featured a much younger Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick, and you also had Chris Klein. This is one of the movies that really helped make Alexander Payne a big name in the industry. It's from 1999. That rather disgusting sounding slogan there is from Tracy Flick's campaign slogan, apparently.
Yeah.
I did not realize this until recently, that this is based on an entire series of books.
Wow.
And Flick, the books cover, I think, from this point all the way up to, she does not have the adulthood that she clearly was aiming for in this movie.
Yeah.
It's a very bitter, harsh political satire set in high school.
Wow.
And it's a fun little movie. It's very interesting. I didn't love it as much as the critics did, but that's usually the case with his movies. But I did love The Holdovers. This one, it's got a pretty decent number of bonus features. So I'm very happy to have finally upgraded that one. I look forward to seeing it again.
So one I saw on the plane, I was like, you know what, I'll go ahead. I've seen all the movies in this series except for the second Minions movie, which I just haven't really felt like it. I've owned it forever. But the other one is the DVD release because it was $10. And, okay, I can do that. And that is Despicable Me 4. I mean, it's a Despicable Me movie. It's a sequel. None of them are as good as the original. I don't expect them to be. It's still reasonably fun. Of course, now we got the baby grew between him because he's married to the girl he met in 2. Yeah. And they have to go into hiding because he ticks off this French supervillain and who's cockroach powers, and so they kind of go into hiding, and it's not bad. I thought it was going to be worse than it was.
I have not seen this.
I mean, they're mostly entertaining. They have, and the Minions, though they are in it, they're not as obnoxiously in it as some, though they do have a Fantastic Four minion force that they develop that kind of is useless other than for comic relief. So, I guess that's something there. They're going to continue these until they die, until Carell dies, and they'll keep going past that. Oh, yeah. But,
the Minions will never die.
The Minions will never die. But still, decent enough. It was enjoyable. I have not found any of the Despicable Me's to be repugnant. And I can say that there are some animated films that, after a while, they start to get that way. Yeah. Open Season is a good example for that. 2 and 3 were kind of...
I don't really know them.
But the first one was good.
I think I have the first couple of them.
The first one's actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
So, not terrible,
Good times.
not great, but enjoyable.
Good times. So another conversion that I was very happy to learn they were going to do, I've had this one for years on DVD, haven't seen it for years, so I look forward to a chance to see it again, is the Chinese feature, I'm not even going to pretend I can read that, Farewell My Concubine.
The one they reference in Ranma 1/2 movie too. Exactly.
Ni hao, my concubine. Yes. This was 1993, so I think it came out either the same year or like a year before. It's got, a decent number of bonus features. Not a lot, but a few. But this is by Chen Kaige, however you would say that. Mm-hmm. Again, I saw this many years ago. I have not seen it since. I want to say this was a movie that was released here by Miramax, and they promoted it heavily, and it was one of the foreign films that I was introduced to when I really got into foreign films.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for years, but having the chance to upgrade it to a Criterion release, I was like, I gotta do it. So, one of these days I'll give it another
Gotta
look.
go fast.
Yep. And also it's worth noting that it has, I'm wanting to say, oh yeah, here we go. Bawang Bieji, I guess is how you would say it. Leslie Chung and, Li Gong. Li Gong stars in this one, so that was one of the, anything with her is worth at least one look.
So, one thing that I used to watch on TV was Animaniacs, and my mother really got into one of the spin-off shows for Animaniacs, which is Pinky and the Brain, which got a pretty sizable discount at Amazon. And I have Animaniacs, so why not get this one? And, it's about these two mice, and one of them's a really smart lab mouse, and he wants to rule the world.
One of them's a genius, the other's insane.
Exactly. And it has a very catchy theme song. And they got their own spinoff that lasted for a decent amount. I don't know how many episodes.
Does this include the episodes where they included Elmira as part of it, or is it just the
when
previous?
they did Pinky, the Elmira, and the Brain?
Pinky, yeah.
I don't know. All I know is it's this as complete a collection as they're going to release.
Right. That's a nice set.
So it's compact, better than the previous releases, which were kind of like scattered.
Yeah.
So
I need to get that one.
So it's at least there. It's 1,419 minutes. So it's got a good number of episodes on there. And it has 3 bonus featurettes, which is kind of cool. So yeah. Now experience the complete Emmy Award-winning series in one box set.
Okay.
So, hey.
Alrighty. So my next one is one where, if I remember correctly, I think my collection is actually pretty decent, but it's on DVD. So converting it to Blu-ray seemed logical. And again, this is one that I'm like, oh, Criterion's doing it. I'm going to have to get it eventually. And that is Cameron Crowe's Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Well, technically, Amy Heckerling directing, but Cameron Crowe wrote it. But you've got, for those few of you who have never heard of this, it really put Sean Penn on the map. Jeff Spicoli is everyone's favorite stoner. Got Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, Phoebe Cates, bunch of other folks in there. Ray Walston. Actually recently spent some time in the hospital and revisited this while I was there, so it's fairly fresh on my brain. But this is a remarkably bright collection from Criterion. Very 80s looking. And this contains a pretty good number of bonus features there, decent number. And you've got, I thought I saw, well, there's documentaries and all that kind of fun stuff. But anyway, like I said, good solid film. If you've never seen it, it is an 80s classic. Not all of it has aged beautifully, but that's true of many 80s classics. And definitely worth a look.
So I was looking for both of them, but I can't find my TV copy of one of them. Maybe I already filed it out. But I have here one that is a combination one, which is my teen romantic comedy Snafu. Again, another one of these like 2 DVDs down to 1 Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. And does it have... And this one actually does upgrade to have an English dub. I've yet to see an episode, but I have actually heard that this anime is pretty fun, and I've heard a lot of good things. So I am looking forward to seeing this. Oddly enough, the cover, though, has some risque nature to it. Mm-hmm. It's not as risque as some. Let me see how risque these are. These aren't really risque either. So that's kind of good. Mm-hmm. It looks like... I've seen a lot of good things about this one, so I am looking forward to finally checking it out.
Did that one also have an English dub?
This does. That does not.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I think you've got a theme here of all kind of ones that I have the 2-part Japanese dub only. That's the same with that one. This one is an upgrade of a movie that I love. This has always been one of my favorites. I actually saw it 3 times in theaters, and it's one that we've covered on Movies Galore when we did our comic book month. And that is Terry Swigoff's Ghost World, which
good one.
I saw a list today of people who were overlooked for Oscars, and they picked Steve Buscemi for The Death of Stalin, which, yes... that would have been a good nomination, but a lot of people were shocked that he did not get a nod for this movie.
Yeah.
This also was a very important early Scarlett Johansson role, a good Thora Birch role, phenomenal soundtrack. Zwigoff is a man who likes to poke at people's sensitivities. He likes to make people uncomfortable. Ghost World is actually one of his more palatable, accessible movies, and it still gets into very uncomfortable territory, but it is based on the comic by Daniel Clowes, and it is, I would say, a general... Actually, that's pretty much the art style of Clowes' comic there.
And they do a pretty good job of adapting the comic. Right, I've read the comic, and it's not bad.
And this does have a lot of good stuff. I still need to compare it against the original release, because this is one where I actually would keep my other copy if the bonus features are not on here. Because I did the same thing with The Princess Bride. Mm-hmm. I have 2 copies of that movie. But this is definitely an edition that I needed to get. And I'm very surprised it took me as long as it did to get it. But I finally did.
See, both my Princess Bride and my Ghost World upgrades were like full-on upgrades because they were bare bones DVD versions for both. I think that Princess Bride had the trailers.
Yeah.
But I think that they probably had that on the upgrade too.
That one did have a surprising number that didn't transfer over from the edition I had. It was very disappointing.
See, one that I couldn't find to show, but think of it like the ones I had before where it's 2 DVDs to 1 Blu-ray. And that is Shirobako. Which I still haven't seen. But
great show. Great show.
This one bothered me a while because I have the 2-part DVD set similar to how these are, but I had the Blu-ray for the movie. So I was like, maybe they'll come out with one that's got all 3. But then again, I looked at it and it's like, wait, no, Shout is releasing the movie, and
which is weird.
And Sentai releases the series, so probably they won't do one. This one does have an English audio track. I don't know whether the 2-part release had one or not because I couldn't find mine.
I think it did, but
it's kind of... I like consistency in the collection at least, so I'd rather have them all on Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. Very similar to how it bothered the heck out of me to have the To Love Ru, like good portion of it being on that, and then the others being on Blu-ray. So it's good to have this back. And one day I'm sure we'll cover it on Anime Anticlimax. Because it does... If you add the movie in, it does go enough over the line to qualify. but only if you had the movie in.
That was actually, strangely enough, that was one that Brittany and I watched the first episode one night when we were waiting for people for game night. And I was immediately hooked. I'm like, that's such a good show. And I pre-ordered it because I wanted to make sure I got it. So that's why I have the 2-part collection. This one has also been in my collection for many, many, many years. When Criterion released it, I was like, hell yeah. And I was very happy to convert my bare bones DVD to Blu-ray. And that is the Karen Kusama film Girl Fight, which introduced me to Michelle Rodriguez, who I think is a very gifted actor, very big fan of hers. And it's funny because this came out at the same time as Billy Elliot. And essentially you had two movies that were great counterpoints to each other, because you had the boy that wanted to dance and the girl that wanted to box. And I just really liked this movie. I was really excited Criterion released it. It doesn't have an enormous number of bonus features, but it's got a good number. This was absolutely an upgrade, and I'm really happy to have it converted. Yep.
All right. So this one is also from the Crunchyroll sale.
Okay.
Again, this is one I haven't seen, but I've seen a couple snatches of episodes of, and I did find it hilarious, the concept, which is the vampire dies in no time, which is this thing about this really fragile vampire. And what I've seen about it made me laugh, so I really wanted to see the rest of it. And yes, I have a Crunchyroll subscription, but I don't like to stream anime.
Yeah.
So I have been doing it with the Ranma one, but that's only because there's no other option.
I need to watch that.
But yeah, it's one I am going to be glad to see. It was at a reasonable price point. It was under $30, which is about as reasonable as you're going to get for a Crunchyroll series set, much like when they were Funimation.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too bad off by it, and I have a feeling that anime itself will go up in price. If things go as are reported, those will probably be a part of going up.
Oh, it's
price.
going through the freaking roof. I have no doubt. It makes me very sad.
That a lot of times I've been buying up some sets that I'm like, if I really want them in my collection, maybe I should get them now.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I got this because I did want it in the collection, and it's kind of cool to have.
Yeah, we're going to enter a dark period where I'm going to be saying, I wish I had that about many more shows than I already do. So, the next up, again, I think I got this one in order from Dane. I've had it for a while now, and it's another used one. Getting away for a little bit from the ones that I have that are conversions. This is one that is brand new to my collection, and it's one I've never seen. And it's an Italian director, Liliana Cavani. I don't remember the actual provenance of this, but it's a movie that I've been curious about for a while called The Night Porter, which stars Charlotte Rampling and her former torturer and lover, who's played by Dirk Bogarde, and they're in Vienna. It's a 1974 release. This is a pretty bare bones release. There's not a lot there. For Criterion standards, it's pretty weak. But it does have some stuff, and I'm curious about that. But like I said, this one I've been curious about for a minute. I'm glad to finally have it, and look forward to watching it eventually.
All right. Good timing there.
Yep.
I was trying to message Kim about food, because neither one of us have gotten to eat today. So this one I'm just combining because we're trying to even things out.
Okay.
As I was waiting for this to fall in price, and Sentai did go ahead and put this on sale, I wasn't going to get the coveted steel books. The first one went out of print and then went way up. And I'm like, I don't know this series enough to get it on Steelbook, but I like the premise of it enough that I wanted to get it, but I wanted to wait until I had standard editions and they were a reasonable price, which they were on the Sentai sale. And that is the Peter Grill ones, which we have Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time.
Okay.
And Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time Super Extra, which is season 2.
Okay.
So, and this is like Peter Grill may be the most powerful warrior in the world, but a culture where strength is everything. There are lots of ambitious young women who will do anything to acquire Peter's superior genes in order to bear powerful offspring. So, even though Peter just wants to marry his fiancée, he's instead being beset by a bodacious bevy of Peter-obsessed females, fiercely determined to get into his bed and/or ironclad pants.
That sounds fun.
That would be a sticky situation, even if the baldy belligerents were merely human, but with elves, trolls, and orcs all craving a little private Peter action, can even Peter stand up to the wave? So, you know what? This actually does sound like a very entertaining series when I saw it, but I wasn't going to try and do Steelbook of it, so when it came cheap enough, I'll grab it.
Okay.
I mean, this is 24 episodes here, so yeah, it sounds delightful.
Sounds good. All right, keep that in mind for future sales. My next one, I'm pretty sure was the one I used to tick off the Silent Era box a couple of sales ago, and this is one of the oldest films in my collection. And it's a film called Haxan, or however you would say that.
Oh,
Benjamin Christensen film from 1922. And it supposedly is one of the creepy-ass films of history. Pretty good number of bonus features on that thing. Did you say you have seen this one?
I have, a long time ago. It's been a while.
It's pretty good.
I mean, to my memory.
Okay. So I look forward to seeing this one eventually. But something very different to add to the collection.
So this one is one that many waifu lover would have, and that is Oshinoko, which in Brittany was like,
I need to see
but you haven't got season 2 yet, and I was like, well, season 2 hasn't released on physical.
No.
But this was the waifu of the month for the longest time, and they do that. Yeah. Over the year, I mean, the anime community is thirsty. See Peter Grill over here from the previous. And there are certain waifus that everybody gushes over, and then they move to the next. Like, I think the girl from My Dress Up Darling. Then, of course, there was the one from, what was it? Dakomi, of course. And
everyone was Komi.
And then, of course, she was a hot thing for a while, too.
Now, of course, from what I understand, this is very different from Komi.
When a pregnant young starlet appears in Goro Amemiya's countryside medical clinic, the doctor takes it upon himself to safely deliver her children, so she can make a scandal-free return to the stage. But no good deed goes unpunished, and on the eve of her delivery, he finds himself slain at the hands of a mysterious killer, and subsequently reborn as Aquamarine Hoshino, one of Ai's twin children. Alas, the glitz and glamour of showbiz hide the dark underbelly of the entertainment industry. It kind of reminds me of Perfect Blue in a lot of ways. A lot of that.
Supposedly,
I've heard it has a darkness to it. Yeah. But she definitely was. People had the hots for her for a hot minute, and I'm sure when season 2 comes up, she will return to that.
Anderson, don't jump.
Yeah, no jumping up on the camera, Kat.
Okay.
Oh, move quick. We're getting to the ends.
I'm going to go ahead and continue with 1922 horror films, or 1920s horror films, but I'm going to leave Criterion behind just for a moment. in preparation for the upcoming Roger Eggers film that I really do want to see, F.W. Murnau's classic Nosferatu, Ein Symphonie de Grön. This is a 1920, was it 20 or 22? 22 film, old film. I have seen this one. And of course I saw the film that it inspired, Shadow of the Vampire, which was a great film. This is a Kino Lorber release. It's one of their rare releases that actually has a lot of bonus features. I'm really looking forward to revisiting this, and I plan to revisit it before going to see the new movie, which I am planning to go see. So if everyone in the group is on that page, we need to all... Yeah, but good times.
And that was actually my first exposure to Tangerine Dream, because they did a soundtrack for...
I don't think they do on this edition, but...
The edition I had did, but I don't even know if I have that one anymore. I have a copy of it somewhere, though.
Yeah. This one has Hans Erdmann's original 1922 score. So very cool.
This was $5 in a pickup, mainly because I like Rodney Dangerfield, so I went ahead and got the musical Rover Dangerfield. And I've heard mixed things about it, and I remember seeing it, and I don't remember much from it, so it's probably that bodes badly for it. But I do like Rodney Dangerfield, and he does basically do a dog version of himself, so why not?
Why not?
Yeah. All right, that's enough.
Okay. This one I don't think was a conversion. Another old movie, but not as old as the last two. This is a Criterion release of His Girl Friday, the Howard Hawks film from 1940. Very famed movie that was based on the 1931 film The Front Page, which is also included on this collection. So it's actually a 2-film set, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of bonus features on this one, so this is a really nice collection, actually. The movie stars Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell. It was this one, talking about earlier, we mentioned phrases that are in the popular lexicon. This definitely put a popular phrase into the lexicon for many decades. I don't know if I've ever seen this, but I certainly look forward to giving it both movies a go.
I'd been kind of iffy about doing this one, but it's another one of those that I had the both parts. And I went ahead because it was fairly dirt cheap, and that was the Parasite combo. They even did a new cover for this one, which is pretty decent cover. It's pretty cool. It is horror. It's body horror, and I don't really like body horror overall. There's really not much other reason other than upgrading it to Blu-ray, because there is an English audio track on this, but it does save a little space. It is a little bit higher quality release. It's about this group of like aliens that come in. They take over people's bodies and kind of like a body snatchers thing, but then they can have them morph into these monstrous forms and they eat other people. It's there, but this one alien doesn't assimilate the guy all the way, so he's able to still retain some control while his hand is the alien. So I'm curious enough that I need to see it. People really praise that one. I don't know.
So when I was in college, I heard an interview on NPR with Peter Bogdanovich where he was talking about his new film at the time, The Cat's Meow. And I saw it and I was like, oh, this is a pretty good movie.
Decent.
And I also picked up a book that got into the backstory of his films. He was used as one of the case studies, you might say. I think Hitchcock was in there as well. So I actually have a pair of Bogdanovich films to present here. And one of them is one of his most famous movies, and it's one I've actually never seen, and I really, 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 really do want to see it. And Criterion released this one not too long ago, if I remember correctly. And it's called The Last Picture Show. It was one of the movies that helped put Jeff Bridges on the map, also Sybil Shepherd. This collection also includes the sequel from 1990, which is called Texasville. And it's got a number of other bonus features. This is a 2-disc edition. I've never seen either movie, so I'm really excited to have this in the collection. One day, I'll finally watch The Last Picture Show. And I won't mind watching Texasville as well.
Yeah.
Very happy to have that.
I have it on a collection that has like
Oh, you have that on that American Dream
the American
one, right?
Dream one,
yeah, that's a cool collection.
So the next one here, I got this Amagami SS and SS Plus one.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, there is no English language dub for it, so the upgrade's not a huge upgrade. But still, I mean, this is a big thing there because it's a pretty large series. I mean, this one's 24 episodes
Right.
the first season, and then the second season I think is 12.
Mm.
So it's still a decent number of episodes getting upgraded in there. And you can even feel the heftiness of that one compared to
I
that
had
one,
those sets. I think I did convert that one.
But it's kind of cool. I mean, 39 episodes, not
Yeah.
bad, and it is much smaller. So that's there. And again, more for quality. I still need to see it one day.
Okay. So the most recent Criterion release I have, and not in terms of the age of the film, because I think this film came out in '74, but they just released it. I was so excited when I found it. '73 was the original release, but it released I think 2 weeks ago, and I actually had it on pre-order. And so it's one that arrived very recently, and that is another Bogdanovich film called Paper Moon, which I have seen this one, and I love this movie. I absolutely love it. It's basically a road trip about a couple of con artists who are played by real-life father and daughter Ryan and Tatum O'Neal. In a typical example of Oscar bullshit, Tatum won the Oscar for supporting actress, even though she's really the star of the film. But it's a really good movie. Like I said, it's a period road piece, basically. This release has a pretty decent number of bonus features. Madeline Kahn is in here as well. Really good film. I was so stoked when they announced the release. And like I said, very happy to have it. And this was also an upgrade. I did have it on DVD, so this is a full-on upgrade conversion.
Well, my last one, and it's a nostalgia pickup. I wanted to get the Flintstones collection, but I didn't want to pay $40 for it, even though that's a lot of stuff on it. I mean, for it. But I went ahead and got this because it was $20, which is the Jetsons complete collection.
Ah,
The Jetsons is a cartoon
I was
series
tempted.
that it's an older cartoon series. I think both of us saw episodes growing up. That's the reason why I was tempted for the Flintstones, because again, watched it a lot growing up. And it's got a similar take to the Flintstones, except in the future. And it's an oddly eerie take on the future, because if you really look into it, it is kind of legit. I mean, we already have a lot of the communication tools that they have. We don't have the flying cars yet.
No.
But the reason why their city is in the air does kind of worry me, because we are getting ready to release more pollution into the air and water. So, which is that, we poisoned the land so badly that the only way we could survive was to create these kind of these kind of things in the clouds. And
what year is that actually set in? Because I feel like we're coming up on it if we haven't already passed it.
I don't think it says what year it is, but
I can't remember exactly.
Still, I mean, this is a fairly big prediction, because I do feel like, depending on what we do and how we go about it, it's very possible that at least the part of it being too polluted to stay on the surface is there. I don't know if we'll have the we might have the technology to do it, but only for a select few. I think it'll be closer to Battle Angel than it will be to this, where you've got kind of like the upper class live in the upper cities, and the lower class are kind of mucking around in the pollution and kind of dying there. I think that's more like how it is, but still, interesting, kind of dark place for something saying about the this, but it is kind of dark if you look at it like that with the story.
Yeah.
But still, not a bad one. I actually like the Jetsons more than I like the Flintstones growing up, so it's kind of cool. But still, basically, the Honeymooners was just set in the future.
Right. Alrighty. And now we're going to do another take at this. Apparently, our first shot was so good, we had to start over. My last one is a pickup from Vinegar Syndrome, but it's not actually them. It's one of their partner stores. And it's a movie I wanted for many years. It was not available. And that is the first ever film from Ang Lee. And strangely enough, the first of a trilogy that is available. The Wedding Banquet, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, part of the so-called Father Knows Best trilogy with Lung Si-hung. Long been available through, I think it was the MGM Classics line or whatever the hell it was. World Cinema. But the first film in the trilogy, the first ever by Ang Lee, Pushing Hands.
I knew he was looking for it for a long time.
Exactly. Not available. I think they had a VHS release that was like super out of print or something. And I think there were international DVD releases. But anyway, this is even better because it's Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But and actually, Septum pointed out to me that this was available through Vinegar Syndrome, and I think I missed that first option, but then there was a sale right after, or maybe I got it on the same sale. Whatever, I ordered it with Six String Samurai, still the only order I've done from them, but I'm looking forward to
I think it was
more.
the halfway to Black Friday sale that you got it off of.
Something like that.
Yep.
And it was a reasonable price for such a rare movie. I still think Criterion one day is going to do a Father Knows Best release, and if they do, I am snapping it up. But this actually does have a few bonus features, and sure as hell is worth having it as a placeholder, because this was just not there. So I've actually only ever seen parts of this film, because it's so freaking hard to find. I look forward to finally watching it.
See, that kind of goes to show you, like, if you got people that do look in different areas that you don't typically look in, like Lily Forever, you would have found out eventually that was out, because that was Arrow releasing that.
Right.
But this one, the likelihood that you were going to be looking through Vinegar Syndrome was a lot lower.
Well, I would have looked through it. Would I have found it? I tend to skim their offers.
I go through with a fine-tooth comb every one of those, so that's why I catch them.
I'll admit, I was tempted this Black Friday. They made a big deal about how they were releasing Cannibal the Musical.
Yes.
And I do already own that. I think I might have the Troma release. But Cannibal's worth getting the updated, nice release. But it's not $40 worth getting it. So I don't know. But because Vinegar Syndrome is always expensive, even on the sales.
It'll probably be like $17 to $27 on the Black Friday sale next year.
But at some point, I may try for that one. But in the meantime, like I said, great to finally have that. So glad I was pointed in this direction. And a really cool way to wrap things up this week, even if we had to do 2 tries.
All right. And subscribe and like and share. And we'll see you probably at least one more time before the end of the year.
Until then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is the end of the show. We hope you liked it though. We had our spend, had time afraid. It's almost time to go. This is the end of the show. But we felt you'd like to know. A bunch of friends right to the end. Our link just down below. This is the end of the show. So help us let you know. 'Cause here's Jake to say the things we thought just couldn't go.
And now we would like to take a moment to thank our friends at the Rebel Gaming Club for our rollicking opening number that has been gracing our videos for some time now. And we want to thank all our friends friends who come out for various projects and what have you. We have numerous links below, and we very much encourage you to check them out and give the other people a visit as well.